Silver linings for Democrats in this election was the performance of congressional House candidates in the state of New York. Democrats lost 5 competitive House races in New York during the 2022 midterms. 3 of those seats were flipped back in this election, and a 4th taken back in a special election earlier this year. Meanwhile, incumbent Democratic Congressman Pat Ryan held on to his seat, winning his 3rd election in as many years and doing so convincingly. 13 points was the margin. Ryan was first elected to represent New York's 18th congressional district in a 2022 special election. And Congressman Ryan joins us now. Congressman, good morning. It's great to see you. I feel like we have you on once a year and congratulate you on winning an election. So congratulations again. Just to remind our viewers about your districts, obviously seen as a swing district, you won by 13 points. What was the message that you delivered to those voters who were maybe on the fence between Donald Trump and Joe Biden and maybe were considering walking away a bit from the Democratic Party? How did you hold on to so many of them?
I'm really proud of our whole team and our whole community in a really tough moments nationally, obviously, and both backwards looking and to come. We centered an optimistic, positive, and patriotic path and vision. I obsessively talked about affordability, and I obsessively talked about freedom and linked them together, talking about economic freedom, and really tried to give a place for people to come to, a thing for people to come vote for, rather than just running against a lot of things. And, you know, rather than getting in these kind of back and forth culture war, finger pointing, divisive, really tried to focus on where do we share common ground. And to me, one of the things that really stands out here, at the end of the day, if you're talking moderate or progressive, if you're talking liberal or conservative, you are missing the whole point of where real people are. Folks want to know that a representative will fight for them and against all the forces that are hurting them and harming them and putting this economic pressure and affordability crisis. And we really centered that every day in our campaign. I think that was a big part of why we had a decisive victory.
So your district, New York 18, is one of the tightest and most contested every 2 years of anywhere in the country. You actually outran Vice President Harris last week by 11 points. You won by 13 points, and she won narrowly in your district. What would be your message? And I know it's hard to apply it to every Democrat because everyone's district is different. It's composed of different people. It may be more heavily progressive. But if you were advising the leadership of the Democratic Party, which is waking up a week later, still picking up the pieces, wondering what exactly happened and how they get back in the game, what would be your advice?
I think it's pretty simple. It's like, get real and listen. Like, stop talking to and at people and take the time to listen. I mean, minus the substance, it's about style. We worked so hard to show up in every corner of my district. I had this mobile constituent services van. We called it our CARES van. We went to all 82 of our towns across a huge geographic area over and over and over, and just especially the ones that didn't vote for me, and really listen to people. And when you do that, it's so clear that 80–90% of people in this country are facing unprecedented, tremendous economic pressure. And we have to hear that, sit with that, and then show we're going to fight for them and show who we're going to fight against. I called out elites in power, whether that's big corporate power, whether that was our local monopolistic utility that had ripped people off, or whether that's the party elites in both parties that are, I think, increasingly just out of touch. So I think it's get real.
Congressman, good morning. You are a veteran. You also sit on the Armed Services Committee. So we want to get your reaction to Donald Trump's nomination of Pete Hegseth to run the Pentagon. He most recently, of course, a Fox News host. Do you believe he is qualified to lead the Department of Defense?
This is an incredibly serious time in the world. It's an incredibly serious cabinet position, and I don't think Hegseth is a serious person and a serious pick. And sadly, it's not surprising coming from Trump, who dodged a draft 5 times, called our troops suckers and losers, insulted Gold Star families, Medal of Honor recipients, trampled on the sacred ground of Arlington National Cemetery. And I'm not surprised that he picked a Fox News host rather than someone who was going to understand the seriousness of the moment. I'm very concerned about what this means, because we've even seen today reporting from the Wall Street Journal talking about executive orders that are essentially military purges, political purity tests, when our military has always been apolitical, nonpartisan patriots, not a political military. And it's a very dangerous road that we could head down. And on the Armed Services, I'm going to be incredibly focused on the Armed Services Committee, making sure that we don't go down that road.
Congressman, back to your advice for Democrats. I completely agree on your approach, on your message, on your advice moving forward. I'm just curious, realistically, as best as you can answer this question, do you think it was easier to send the message being a man of your background?
It's a good question. Yeah, I think we have a lot of bias in this country, a lot of bias in our politics. And I have no doubt that, being a white man, I guess, helps maybe connect with more people in my district who that has a lot of white men. I do think at the end of the day, if we're talking about identity, if we're talking about sort of divisive culture war issues, we're missing where real people are and the affordability pressure that they feel. And then we're talking right past them, and they feel like we're part of the problem and just another politician focused on these things that don't get at the heart of what they're facing. But we do have to reckon with that, absolutely.
I really appreciate your candor. Democratic Congressman Pat Ryan of New York, thank you for being on this morning. Congratulations on your success.
Thanks.